So we went from 1.25 million our first 8 months, and then in 2024, our first full year, we did 28 million.
28 million in revenue, and you get into 2,000 retail stores. What's the big growth driver here?
Yes, people copy BRĒZ because we share our information in the public, but as long as they're copying us, they're always behind us.
Today on the show, we are joined by a brand that last year did, let me check my notes here, 28 million in 2024 and will close to, maybe more than, is on pace to do 50 million this year. It's quite incredible. And what they sell is a beverage, but not just any beverage, a beverage in a space that is unusually competitive and difficult. They have, we're talking about BRĒZ. They sell something that's age restricted, but doesn't have alcohol. It has, well, you know what? I'm going to let their current CEO, Nosbisch, tell us about it. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I'm super stoked to be here. I love your podcast, and it's exciting to be on. You've had some really cool all-stars, including like Harley Finkelstein, I think, was on here, president of Shopify, and some others. So I'm honored to be on the show.
I appreciate the shout out. Okay, so let's start at the top. BRĒZ, what is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So BRĒZ, at the end of the day, is a feel-good tonic. We make, and not just one. Now we have quite a few actually, different drinks that allow you to feel good in a variety of effects. We're most known for our OG blend, which is a microdose cannabis and mushroom beverage. So we use low-dose THC, CBD, and lion's mane mushroom to create a happy, euphoric feeling that you feel within 5 minutes, and it lasts for about 60 to 90 minutes, which makes it very comparable to alcohol, and it's used primarily as an alcohol alternative. So people that are looking to cut back but still have fun and still find that sense of relief and enjoyment and connection and celebration can do so in a way that's generative for them and not harmful to them. We use what we call functional mushrooms, and these are not necessarily psychoactive, although they do have therapeutic and physiological benefits to them. Lion's mane specifically is the most studied cognitive enhancing functional mushroom in the market. It's generally regarded as safe by the FDA. And it's a really cool looking mushroom. It's like how you can remember is it looks like a brain, like a big white brain. And so that's how you can kind of remember that it's good for your brain. So you combine that specifically through a nano emulsified process. So a really unique extraction and process that makes it very bioavailable. So you can actually feel the effects of it. And I find it gives me a sense of clarity, a sense of sharpness. In more simple terms, the particles are a lot smaller, and because they're a lot smaller, you feel them quicker. They're more bioavailable, so your body metabolizes them very quickly, and then it wears off quickly as well. Also, due to that metabolization process, it doesn't go to your liver as much, and it doesn't turn into another compound called 11-hydroxy, which is what you typically get with an edible. That compound is a natural conversion in your body, but it makes for a heavier, more psychedelic feeling that you don't really get with BRĒZ. So it's not really just like a gummy in a can. It's far more of this type of new wave of an experience, and much more comparable to alcohol's effect curve, just a little less groggy, a little less heavy, but very clear-headed.
What's the THC content here?
So we have a few different options. We have a small can. This one is 2.5 milligrams, which is a fairly low dose of cannabis. And then this one is 5 milligrams. We also have an extra strength version, which is 10 milligrams. You can tell because the black cap there.
All right, there's a shift happening here. One, you're able to sell this legally online and ship it to a number of states. And two, it seems, according at least to the headlines of studies I scroll past on Reddit, that Gen Z is drinking significantly less than previous generations. I assume that it is the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is what enables you to be able to sell this.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. So it's like, how can you sell THC in a can? How can you ship it? Like we're, like your podcast suggests, like we're a e-commerce first brand, or at least we were when we started. So we ship this product to across the country to many different states, some of which don't even have medical marijuana programs. So how is that possible? Well, I'm sure many of your listeners, and yourself included, have seen the CBD wave that's happened over the last 5-10 years now. And essentially what happened is Congress in the US decided that cannabis sativa, so most people know indica and sativa. Indica is like in the couch. Sativa is a little bit more energizing. So cannabis sativa below 0.3% THC is considered hemp. And so the Farm Bill in 2018 made that law. So it essentially made a variety of cannabis federally legal, and thus legal in the states as well. So that's where the whole CBD boom came. They were taking hemp, they were extracting CBD out of it, and then selling CBD products. But the thing is, people were enjoying CBD, but they weren't really getting that light cannabis buzz that I think a lot of people were hoping for or expecting, or I've heard it called a diet weed experience is is another way to say that. And
Diet weed. It's
yeah,
funny.
and just but that wasn't happening. And so what people realized, the industry realized, is you could actually extract THC from hemp because it's the same cannabis plant, it's just a different variety of it. And as long as the content of THC was below zero point 0.3 in the final product, it was still legal. Now, whether this was a loophole or intentional is debatable, but the reality is a $500 million industry, just in the THC beverage space alone, was created in it. So our whole aim was, can we create a product that allows you to feel good, to find relief, to connect in a way that doesn't make you feel worse later? And I think we did just that.
How long have you been at this? How did you get involved with BRĒZ? When did that happen?
Yeah, so I've been in e-commerce for a long time. I started my first e-commerce store when I was 13 years old. I'm 31 now, so kind of like 18 years of a traditional experience there. But I started on MySpace and Big Cartel. So I got into e-commerce way back when. Cut my teeth with a brand called Monk. It was a portable aromatherapy diffuser, and it was in the top 50 fastest growing companies 2 years in a row. It was full D2C. It was one of the biggest and fastest growing D2C brands at the time. And unfortunately, I got pushed out of that company. I didn't really know how to dot my I's and cross my T's, which I'm sure is a story many of us have been through in the past. And that was my real kick in the teeth moment as an entrepreneur. I thought I was on top of the world and kind of fell off. I started a few brands after that, and eventually I started a CBD brand in 2018. And I tried to advertise it on Facebook and Instagram because I had this experience with Monk and these others, and I was just running into roadblock after roadblock. You mentioned it earlier, but cannabis and hemp is probably the most challenging, if not one of the most challenging industries to advertise and market online.
Not only is it an age-restricted good, it's also it has all these compliance and regulations and just, like, social hang up that gets attached to it.
Totally.
And so, trying to navigate that, if you have a big player in PPC like Meta and Google, their answer is just, "No, we're not dealing with this."
Yeah.
And so then what do you do?
Exactly. They don't want the additional liability. It's not whether or not it's legal. It is legal. The question is, they have policies that prevent it. Why do they have policies that prevent it? I don't know if you heard that recent Zuckerberg interview that he did on Theo Vaughn, but he talked a lot about how he doesn't use any compounds at all. Like, he doesn't even drink coffee. And so I think some of it's a little personal bias, if I'm being honest, but who knows? I think it's an unnecessary liability for them for a potential revenue. So these companies have kind of just like pushed it away while the government and these different regulated bodies kind of like sort it out. I don't think that they're necessarily anti. I just don't think that they're trying to be at the edge of it. So anyway, I guess when I had the CBD brand, I just kept running into these challenges, and I realized like, wow, this is a really tough thing. And I started to figure it out. I started to figure out how to advertise these, and sometimes in compliant ways, sometimes in a little bit of gray hat strategies. But
I
initially,
prefer, not yet regulated
there you
methods.
go. There you go. And primarily, so we were doing things like educating consumers about CBD, which was allowed. You could educate consumers about CBD, and then we would have that click over to a landing page or whatnot. So I did that, and I realized that this problem I was experiencing with my CBD brand was not just my brand; it was the whole industry. And so I started an agency that did nothing except focus on that. And it took us a little bit, but
What
we
was that one
eventually
called?
Lucid. Yeah,
Lucid.
Lucid. And we started Lucid in 2019. I founded it, and then I brought in a few awesome partners like Alvin Klein, our current CEO, and Nick Shackelford, and a few others. Um, and
Everybody
um,
on Everybody loves Shaq.
He's a
DTC
great
Twitter.
guy. Yeah, great guy across the board. And he had really good connections at Meta. And I knew that the strategies I was employing were compliant. I just needed a good oversight. And as I'm sure you're aware, it's really hard to get these big ad tech platforms on the phone, like someone who can actually do something. Nick had another agency that had a lot of spend. And so he had direct connects. So he came in and helped us on that front. And then our strategies and that I had were effective. So we became the first compliant advertisers of cannabinoid products on social media, and so Lucid just took off between 2019 and 20. Where are we at now? 2023. It blew up. It became the largest cannabis social advertising firm in the world. Even today, I think we run about 80% of all cannabinoid ads on Facebook and
It's huge.
Instagram. It's crazy. So I did that for a while, and I knew I wanted to get back in the D2C game. I knew I wanted to launch a new brand. But I also I realized some of the last projects I built before Lucid that coming and trying to start a DVC brand with that much money is not always the wisest thing. It's an expensive game and you need options and adaptability. So Lucid started spitting off some cash and it started giving me this perspective. The thing is, by working with so many clients in the cannabis space, I was able to see kind of what's working and what's not working. And I was able to apply my experience in ecom and my team's experience in ecom. And then it got to a point in 2022 that I saw some of these new beverages coming out that were putting hemp derived THC in their products, and I tried a few. Most specifically, I tried Can, and I remember thinking to myself, "Holy cow, this is just going to be the future of drinking!" Like it's so obvious. At the time, though, those other drinks just had THC and CBD maybe, but they didn't really have much else going on, and they felt like not exciting enough. They didn't like when you drink alcohol, you get this kind of like dopamine hit, this like happy energy, even though it's a depressant and it calms you down. Ultimately, it relaxes you. You initially feel excited, and so I was like, we need to create something that can do that. And so we did that and launched it, and it just took off. We went from I think it was 8,000 in our first 10 days. Our second month was like 15,000, and then 30,000, and 80,000, 200, and 400, and by the end of 23, I think in December we did $420,000 in revenue in December, which was kind of fun. A little bit of a
420,000.
wink and nod to
Yeah.
having a throttle on this thing. And then 2024 was our real breakout year. So we went from 1.25 million our first 8 months, and then in 2024, our first full year, we did 28 million, and then last quarter we did 12. So it's been wild, and now a lot of it's retail as well.
So, all right, let's talk about 2024 because this is the year you see big growth. That's would be year 2 or year 3? Year 2?
2024, yeah, it was almost, so we turned 2 at 420, so it was like yeah, so it was
Okay.
the first full year of business was,
And
2024.
28 million in revenue, and you get into 2,000 retail stores, which incredible footprint. What's the big growth driver here? I know it's like a series of things compounding, but like
Yeah.
what's the one you're most proud of?
A great product at the end of the day. Yeah, like I've been marketing in e-commerce for a really long time, and I know a lot of tips and tricks. I know a lot of strategies. I know a lot of tactics, and like I find that all those are really good and important. But if you have a great product, if you have like a fundamentally valuable thing. There's really nothing more important than that because if I were to give you a breeze and you like that experience, your natural reaction is to both buy more and share it with other people, and that's not the case if it's not a great product, if it doesn't do the job, if it doesn't complete the promise that we put out there. So I think probably our biggest growth hack and marketing hack was actually a really really amazing product out of the gate, which I give a lot of credit to Travis on that front. So taking that out of the equation, I think there's two things that matter in business: innovation and distribution. So I think that we had a really great product. That was the innovation arm. The distribution aspect is that because of my team's experience, we knew how to build an e-commerce brand that could fly high and fly far. And the key to that is really good fundamentals, strong unit economics that lead to a high AOV, subscription first, right out of the gate, really strong but simple website that's fully focused on conversion. Customers as the top priority all the time, anytime. Amazing customer service where we're given the shirt off our back type situation. So I think that we really built an infrastructure for a really strong ecom brand that was really helpful. And then we're all experts in digital advertising, a lot of the team. So we knew how to make like we were really quick with like very low production, high quality content. Like I think that the ads that I want to see on Meta today is actually just like our conversation right now. It's like just keeping it real. Like people there's so much noise out there and there's so much distraction. So many people are trying to take. It's like instead our focus was like, let's just make ads like we're FaceTiming our friend and telling them what we are up to and see if that hits. And it did. I have a bunch of videos from just sitting in front of the fireplace recording, talking about like, hey, this is BRĒZ. I founded this product and this is what we were doing. And all the team members do the same thing. Those I think were key aspects. One other key aspect is I always hoped entrepreneurs would just build in the public. They would just share what was working, what wasn't working, how it was working. So something that Nick and I decided at the very early days was like, let's just share everything. Like, let's tell exactly what the revenue is. Let's tell where we're spending money, what's working, what's not working. And we've been doing that now for the last 2 years, and it's been very effective. There's like
Well, that's what got me interested. Like, I've been watching this story unfold on X, and it, I am familiar with it. Months ago, I went like, I got to hear this story. I got to share this
well, you're
because
part of it too. Like
yeah,
that's the
because
thing.
you haven't. Had you not been sharing that stuff, had you been working in the dark, which it's easier to do, just not post, right? It would This opportunity would not have materialized. Other opportunities would not have materialized.
I think so. I think people want to be part of a winning story. Is what it is at the end of the day too. Like the people who do follow along, the people who give us feedback, whether that's a congratulation or an edification or a disagreement, are all part of our story, and now this podcast is a part of our story. And like I think that we just have a broad view on that. And really again, it's the same thing with the drink. Like we built what we want. Like we wanted, it's like I wanted to watch entrepreneurs like share how they were actually doing it. I wanted to feel part of that rise. I wanted to learn. I wanted to express. And I think a lot of people operate out of so much fear that they're so scared that if they share the revenue numbers or if they share what they're up to, then everyone's going to rip them off. And, I just don't think that way. I think it's a very short term way of thinking. I think it's an old way of thinking. Like, yes, people copy Breeze because we share our information in the public, but as long as they're copying us, they're always behind us.
So Drink BRĒZ, it's on Shopify, drinkbreeze.com. Looks phenomenal. It's a great looking website.
Thank
And
you.
a lot of it is the branding, just like the color, typography, the can itself looks really good. It's quite attractive. Any favorite apps, features, layouts on the Shopify store?
There's a few that I really like. So we use Stay.ai for subscription. They're really strong, really smart group there. We use AfterSell for upsells and cross sells, which are really nice. I think we're using No Commerce for post purchase surveys. I really like those guys as well. I'm pretty sure we use Hotjar so a lot of like little things like that. But one kind of major kind of procedural process that I think I go through that I'm not sure everyone goes through with website is we're very focused on a design first build. So like, when BRĒZ started, I first find an amazing designer that, and ideally I actually look at outside categories outside of e-commerce and look for like artists that make websites for art galleries or make websites for tech companies or whatever. And then, so find an amazing artist, then bring them in, have them design an e-commerce website with the principles that we share with them. And then you get something net new that's typically not in the market. And then we get that
Clever.
to a pixel perfect layout. So we get exactly where we're going to design. And then my next step is rather than be like, okay, this is what's possible with Shopify, I go and find a developer who can make it look exactly like that. No questions asked. Like, I don't want to hear that that's not possible. I don't want to hear that we can't do it that way. I want to like how can we get it to look like that, and then let's do that. Like you can kind of see in my video here that it's a very interesting looking can. The thing is, I like that quote that's like, people don't remember what you said to them or even your name. They remember how you made them feel. I always liked that. So like, what causes that? I think it's a variety of factors. But my thought in the branding and design of the product was like, can we make a product that makes you feel something before you ever drink it?
It's that rainbow reflection it does.
It does something, and I think at the primal level, it's like shiny object syndrome. It's like, "Ooh, shiny
In this
rock,"
case, literally,
literally.
if someone wants BRĒZ, where could they find it? Plug it.
Yeah, so you can either go to our website, drinkbreeze.com. BREEZE is BREZ, as you can see on my sweater here. And you can order online or on our website, there's a store locator. You can hit that store locator, find whatever shop's closest to you, and order from there. And then you can follow me along on Aaron, Aaron J Nosbisch, Aaron J Nosbisch on social media, and kind of follow along as we continue to build this thing.
And I will include those links in the show notes. Aaron Nosbisch, thank you so much. This has been great. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.